Hi everyone, it's Killshot 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 10, and it is time to find Rick. Filming is underway. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about, and I know our audience is going through some serious Walking Dead withdrawals. Look, I love Game of Thrones. I know you guys love Game of Thrones. We got Fear right around the corner. We went through the passage. But there's just something about Walking Dead when it starts filming that gets us thinking, oh, I don't know, July with San Diego Comic-Con, the first time you get that teaser, that trailer view, and then, of course, in October it's going to be a madhouse. So if you guys haven't heard, next year, 2020, 99 Army, I'm doing Comic-Con, so I'm going to be there. You guys got, 14 months to plan in advance. Hopefully we get to see a few people there. We will be doing at least one 999 group event, so I'd love to, just chill with you guys, have some dinner, a couple drinks, and get to know a few people. So that's what's going down. Let's move over to The Walking Dead, because that's what everybody's here for. We're here to talk about what could go down, and I wanted to do this stream tonight really to honor our super fan. I mean, if you're a super fan, you got to have at least one topic, and I think for super fans in the future, we're going to let you guys pick something, and I knew there's nothing more dear to June Smith's heart, who is our second super fan of the month. If you guys are on the green team, do me a favor, just show that quick emoji up there. Show me a little bit of that Miss Rick Grimes emoji. So June, this is for you, because I know that you want Michonne to find Rick. There's good news and bad news to that. And the bad news is, I'm going to stick beside this, we are never going to see Rick Grimes on the television show ever, 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 ever again. I will never back down from that. It's not going to happen. I think contractually it'd be a big problem. I think the commitment to the fans is a big problem. But why do you need to? Why do you need him on television? You don't. You got a storyline. You got movies. We're going to keep Rick in that Walking Dead universe. But they're about to pull Michonne off of there. And as I said, 2 days ago, they started the filming on Monday. So people flew in, they got a little bit comfortable. There's no spoilers out there. There's only a couple pictures. There was a picture Norman Reed has posted on his Instagram. It's got Carol's chair, and it's got Daryl's chair, and it's got like a "What Would Daryl Do" sticker on there. So really neat stuff. But there's no rumors, no spoilers, nothing on Spoiling Dead's fan page at this point, because it's only been a couple days. So it's early news. There will be some stuff that'll start to filter out, actors flying in. But we're kind of in that pure stage where it's all about what we want to happen. It's all about what we think will happen. And I don't think we can will it to happen, but I do think that we can start to do what we do. And you guys know what that is, right? We're going to funnel it down. We're going to take some of these theories, many of these theories, and we're just going to start to add bits and pieces to it until we can sort of get down to our own theory. And the one theory that we talked about a while back, and I do want to funnel that, is going to be Michonne leaving to find Rick. And that's, it's the title of tonight's video. So we're going to talk about potential scenarios. We've already basically predicted what we think is going to happen the first 4 episodes. So we'll take a little bit of that, some bits and pieces. There is going to be a time skip. So before I get into why and how Michonne would leave, there's an interesting question here that I want to ask the group. Where is the group psychologically? Now, that's a big question. It's a big question. Because they just went through some loss. They just trespassed. What are they up to right now? Living, building, trusting? June Smith says, can a girl hope and dream? You can hope and you can dream. And I definitely think you're going to get to see it in the movie. But, June, why put it on television when you can put it on a television series? You kind of, it's a dual benefit. You keep people attached to the show, and then you start to get your audience on a totally different mini-movie and kind of do whatever you want to. So, Master Rawl says the group is scattered mentally. Walking Dead Nerd says probably trying to get on after the loss and the storm. So, possibly, but I have a question for each of you, and let me say this. If you guys have not been a part of our streams in May and June and July, this is where, for me, it gets fun. This is like the CSI mode. We start thinking big picture. If you're new to the channel and you're watching the playback, subscribe, because we're gonna break this down. And I'm going to ask many questions that are going to put you in the position of what would you do? So the Army's out there, and, you had some people that technically, Rosita, Eugene, technically they trespassed a little bit. And they did kill some people. And there was some revenge. So Alpha is the bad guy, no doubt about it. But some of it could have been brought upon the group. So you just saw a whole lot of your people get brutally decapitated and put on a pike. What are you going to do? Now, look, you can't single-handedly go out there and fight 2,000 or 3,000 walkers. I mean, they do have the resources. You're outnumbered. Amy says there will be conflict. I mean, Alpha initially told him, but maybe Daryl say, I don't care how sorry she is, there will be conflict. Right? It's time for Daryl to bring some conflict. Revenge. But you can't be really brazen about your revenge, right? You're outnumbered. You don't even have your group together. So the first thing you got to do is you got to game plan. But even before the game plan, sadly, we got to play the blame game. We got to point the fingers, because if you don't call the people out for their stupidity and their mistakes, it's always going to fester. And you can't go to war and fight side by side with someone if they literally don't have your back. So the first thing you got to do is you got to break these things down to their core element, to the very existence, to the atoms and the protons and the neutrons and all of those things. So right now, I'm not going to say it's Daryl's fault. No, not about Daryl at this point. I think there's a little Father G in here to blame. Father G was using the radio. Eugene and Rosita were sort of going out, checking some things out without notifying the group. So there was already some things happening. Now, maybe Father G was right. What would Maggie say? Father G, what you did, that was right. What Alpha did, that was wrong. So maybe his intention was the right intention, but how he went about it, not going through the council, not involving people, was wrong. Can we agree it was wrong? You just don't fire up a radio and start making contact. As hard-headed, as stubborn as some of these people are, you just can't do it. I got a few super chats I'm going to jump around to. Get some of these thoughts in here. June Smith says, curious, why if this man was a star, why is it so wrong for him to come back on his show? Please explain. Because AMC advertised Rick Grimes' final episode. And when you do that, there is a big problem with, as much as fans would want this to come back, it's not a matter of changing their mind. It's a legal issue. When you come out and you say, going out of business sale, you can't go out of business without being sued. Trust me on this. I'm not saying this because you could have a class action lawsuit against some evil set of fans. Now, as most fans, we don't care. We could say, yeah, no problem. We want him back. We want him back. You can't shaft the fans and get everybody sitting there on that night and get all these advertisers paying a boatload of money for Rick Grimes' final episode and all these people changing their other stuff and sitting down and watching the show legally. So that, June, is kind of the answer to your question. He ain't coming back. Ain't going to happen. And they don't need him to come back. E. Beach says, kills. I think Rick will be back. End of, not going to come back. E. Beach, ain't going to happen. Wanting it. It ain't. You can't want it into existence. Fluff the flamethrower. I'm not scared of those walkers. I have a flamethrower, and Will the Bill has a. Are we really talking about Will the Bill's whip here? Thomas D. They could do a reboot of the show and have him come back. So, yeah, if you want to put him in another spinoff or do something else, I guess you have that option. Look, I'm not here to get into legal technicalities. Just understand, you can't hype something up and promote it a certain way. They didn't do it with Glenn. They didn't do it with Watch Maggie's final episode. Can we pause for a second? Has AMC ever hyped something up as a person's last episode before 3-4 weeks in advance and done these big commercials? Tune in for Rick's final episode. Tune in for his final. Have you ever seen that? Never. It's never happened. So when you go down that route, you can't undo it. They haven't. And trust me, in the age of political correctness, they will absolutely get called out and absolutely get destroyed for it. Just not here to break everybody's will and say, but I'm going to go back to it to some of you that just, you grasp it and you just don't want to ever let it go. Why do you need him on this particular TV show? What is it about this TV show that makes you think that you need Rick Grimes? I'm going to tell you, I thought this was the best season of The Walking Dead that I've ever seen. And guess what? The last 8 episodes, there was no Rick Grimes. Actually, longer than the last 8, but what? Was it 10? Maybe? And I think what's bizarre about these conversations is many of you have even said the last half of the season was the best you've ever seen, but yet we get on a Rick Grimes topic, and then it's like you forgot we had these conversations. You forgot that you gave it a 10. You forgot that episode 8, you're like, wow, this was great. Episode 10, oh, this is great. Episode 14, best I've ever seen in my life. And then we start talking about Rick, and it's like, oh my God, we need Rick Grimes back. Seriously, make up your mind. It was amazing without Rick. And you didn't lose him. You still have him. And now, you're going to lose Michonne. And I'm going to be very interested to see if they say, Michonne's final episodes. Tune in for Michonne's final episodes. Probably not. But she might come back. But Rick ain't coming back. So back to the topic at hand. So let's get back to the topic. If you were in the situation where you just lost a lot of people, and you don't have the weapons, and you don't have the firepower, and you don't have the partnerships, and you don't have the leadership, what I see happening early on is everybody asking the question, what got us into this situation in the first place? There has to be a little bit of bad blood. Is there anybody here that blames Father G just a little bit? Just a little bit. Just wondering. R.J. Guerrero, perfect way for Michonne to meet, is in their movie. All right, there's a couple people blame Father G. Anybody that blames Eugene for hurting his leg, slowing Rosita down, running into that situation, maybe just a little bit. It's an accident, but maybe a slight little bit of blame with Eugene. Nope. How about Maggie? Anybody blame Maggie just a little bit for leaving and going to help Georgie? And the group that she said next time, we're going to be prepared. But they weren't really prepared, were they? Were they prepared? I don't think so. But she did say, next time. So maybe a little bit of blame with Maggie. So the first thing that has to happen as we kind of narrow this down, they're going to have to learn to accept, like each other, and move forward. Because the one thing that we know about the Whispers at this point is what? What's the one thing that the Whispers, other than the Walkers, what's the one thing the Whispers seem to have that our group does not? They don't bathe? No. Unity, kind of. A leader. Exactly, Julia Muse. They have a clearly defined leader. Who's the leader of all of our combined groups? Michonne, Daryl, I don't know. There is no doubt Alpha is the leader. One decision, pretty much one voice. This is the way they do it. I mean, hell, our group can't even decide if they want to walk over the river or go up the mountain or go into Alpha's territory or what they're going to eat. I mean, whether they're at the sanctuary, what they're going to do at the sanctuary. Just so many personalities. Nobody's really kind of, this is the way we're going to do it. Absolutely, Kevin. That's exactly what we miss with Rick Grimes. I don't disagree with that. Missing Rick Grimes and Rick Grimes showing up to save the day, two different things. It also kind of makes me wonder what Maggie's role is going to be like when she comes back. I mean, Carol and Ezekiel can't even get along. And that severed relationship, I think, certainly hurt both of their leadership mantles. All right, so we've kind of identified a couple challenges here. So now that we know what the Whisperer's strong suit is, we know what our group is lacking. What's the plan? What's the next move? I'll give you a couple options. Well, one, hey, we're fine. They're going to leave us alone now. They've already taken what they're going to take. We still need to eat. We still need to rebuild. That sounds like a very bad plan, but it is a plan. All plans don't have to be good. And I would say that's one of the worst plans. But if we know something about our group, there's some whispering, pun fully intended, how to strike back. That's the important question. Christopher Sage says, once the group finds identity, the biggest obstacle is how to deal with Alpha's herd. That's the theory we need. Absolutely right. And that's exactly the direction I was going to, Christopher. How do you deal with the herd? So I think there's going to be a certain contingency of people that are going to say, not Lydia, they're going to say, you know what? Maybe Alpha can be reasoned with. Remember, she traded, she negotiated, and we kept going after them. We trespassed a second time. We released a herd on them. We killed some more of their people. And then I think Lydia is probably going to be the person to say, stop talking that nonsense. We were going to kill you anyway. I think that the group has to be reminded of that at least once. Because like many of our fans here that hope that Rick's going to come back, well, there's people on The Walking Dead. They're going to hope that Alpha just goes away and lets them live in peace, right? There's always hope that Alpha can be reasonable because they've only seen small segments of her personality. Lydia has seen her entire personality. Lydia's seen other people they've conquered. Lydia's seen them skin people, cut people's throats, all those things. Lydia's seen all of that. So if you do start to have that slight little bit of trust in Alpha, which I'm not saying we don't because we're privy to the whole story. I'm speaking strictly, the blacksmith, the tailor, the seamstress, the people in the background that don't watch it. So now we've got to come up with a plan. Now we've got to have Aaron's voice. We got to have Michonne's voice. We got to have Carol, Daryl, Ezekiel. But the big voice that we have to hear this season, I think there's only one person that can really, really make a difference, and I think it's Negan. Negan doesn't get to be in charge, but Negan gets to fight. Negan gets to prove his worth. Negan gets to come up with a plan, and this is where I think the Negan infiltrate the group is probably going to be probably the best medicine. Because, to my knowledge, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know that they know who Negan is because he's been locked up. So even if he does infiltrate the group and he gets in there and gets his mask off and everything else, I think he's probably just going to look as a roamer or a weary traveler. Or I don't know. I don't know what his storyline's going to be. Maybe he escaped, right? Hey, they had me in prison. I got away. I needed a place. I'll fight with you guys. Those are all possibilities. But most people, I think, acknowledge that it's going to have to go down a little bit of a Negan path. All right. So we're getting to a place. Now we're building up to this Michonne, Rick dilemma, how this could all go down. So if you got Negan getting some intel, you got Negan working from the inside, you've got the group kind of getting their will to fight. Where is Aaron? Where has Aaron been? At what point is Aaron going to step up? You got the Rick beard. You lost your arm like Rick. Sorry, Aaron. You want to be Rick, you better start showing up and being Rick. So I think we're going to get our fair share of Aaron as well. But we've got to have the side story. And this is where I need you guys to help me really funnel this information down. The radio. If we don't hear Rick on the radio, we either have to hear Maggie or we have to hear the people that took Rick. But why does the voice only have to be one group? Why can't they change the radio dial and get somebody else on the radio? Maybe at first it was Commonwealth. Maybe at first it was Maggie. A little bit more research on the radio. Possibly we get some Rick on the radio. Michonne is in my mind, and not even in my mind, I will make the boldest of bold predictions ever in the history of my Walking Dead. And I know some of you are going to say, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. Michonne leaves to find Rick. But we talked about this before it was confirmed that Denai was leaving the show. We talked about Michonne leaving to find Rick. And this is why I feel really good about it. So now, yes, once you get another layer of confirmation, another layer, everybody in the world, right? It's okay. Okay, it makes sense. It's common sense. But it didn't make sense at first. But now we have to decide how Michonne leaves, why she leaves, who she takes with her, because there are still a small percentage of people out there saying, oh my God, is Michonne going to die? No, she's not going to die. There's no way they're killing Michonne. So that's going to be part of this bold prediction. The second part is the radio is what cues Michonne that Rick is still alive. And there's a couple things that have happened. How many times have we seen Michonne just on a TV show? This is important, not implied. How many times have we seen Michonne out looking for clues for Rick? At least 3 that we know of. So the importance of that is to underscore that she's never giving up. And these were not just, casually I'm out there scenes. I mean, these are little pictures of sheriffs. I mean, these are walking across the bank. These are very meaningful written in scenes. So she's never given up. She's always had this feeling. Like, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, you have this, like a premonition or this vibe or this feeling, and then something, you're already leaning in that direction, and then something validates it. And Michonne still has this hope, and she needs something to validate it. So the radio is the validation. The helicopter that Father G knows about and Negan that solidifies it. So you've got the instinct, the validation, and then the solidification. And when it gets solidified is when she's leaving. But there's going to be another caveat to that. I don't think it's just the radio. I think this is going to be this is going to be like a double funnel, I guess. Because 2 things are going to happen. William the Walking Dead Billboard says, I don't think the radio has anything to do with her leaving. It's someone else. If it's not the radio, what are your thoughts? William, give me a better reason for Michonne to leave. A rumor? A clue that she suddenly found that she didn't find in the last 5-6 years? So I respectfully disagree. I think it's absolutely the radio. Because I can't think of something, or Maggie, some form of communication. If Maggie comes back and it's via Maggie through the radio and then Maggie gives her that, yes, I'm down with that. And we have discussed that. But the radio has to come into play as, exactly, Jack. I feel like the radio is the catalyst. which is why I think we're going to have multiple funnels here. But there's one other thing, because we know Michonne. Michonne is a warrior. She's not going to leave this group high and dry if she can fight. So here's the way it's not going to go down. Hey, Michonne, come over here. Let's talk about this. I saw this helicopter. And, oh, really? Where was the helicopter? Okay, peace. Leave. It's not going to happen that way. Or Father G explaining Jadis. And she's like, oh, you know what? You should have told me this 5 years ago. I'm packing up. I'm leaving. It ain't going to happen that way. Hearing Rick's voice would be very powerful. Probably it would be the most powerful tool. Maggie giving her credible intel would also be a very powerful tool. But if there were other resources and there was a dual plot happening at the same time, and what I mean by that is, if Michonne is forced to leave, if she knows that Rick could be out there and everything's kind of hitting the fan and she's got to leave with RJ, I think that's that last little push. I think Rick's voice or Maggie relaying that information gets her to the ledge. RJ being in danger and her having to leave and protect RJ pushes her over, like, okay, I'm getting out of here and we got to go. Or Siddiq, like, we got to get out of here right away. And I know Siddiq leaving is not a popular theory because the first thing everybody always wants to point out is he's the last doctor. We need a doctor. It's like it's a prerequisite to live in a zombie apocalypse. You got to have a doctor. What happens if you don't have a doctor? Would make it a little bit more interesting, wouldn't it? So, Mike, that's why we're going to funnel it down. That's one scenario. And that is what we will call the Michonne gets the hell out of Dodge scenario. Takes RJ. Going to be a problem. She's going to have to protect RJ. It's going to have to be like in the movies. But it's not the only scenario. I do have a hard time thinking that she will leave both kids, though. Unless she is absolutely for certain somebody can take care of RJ and that she can get to Rick and make it back. And Julia, I think it is dangerous to bring him. But we're split as a group. Kimberly M says, I think she'll take him. Other people are saying, it's too dangerous. Unless another adult comes, like Siddiq. Now, why would it make good sense for Siddiq to go with Michonne? It's pretty easy if you think about it. Exactly. Well, not RJ. Not RJ. Because she might not know the condition of Rick. How do you know what Rick's situation is going to be? See, Julia, this is why it's not a question of whether it makes no sense. See, you're getting away from the funnel philosophy. See, when there's a funnel philosophy, you discuss it to see if there are reasons why it would make sense. You can't just make a blanket statement like it makes no sense, because that's in general terms. In some regards, it makes sense. In some regards, it doesn't make sense. It depends on what you add to it. We're at the wide area of the funnel. We're going to narrow it down. So you bring up my next point. Why would it make sense for Michonne to take RJ with her? What are some reasons that she could take RJ? Show Rick, hey, if I find Rick needs to see his son, or what if I'm not going to make it back? What if I get there and we can't make it back for Judith? Because you could make the same argument with Judith, right? You could say, well, she got to take Judith. What would be the reason? All right, we can talk about the reason she'd take RJ. What's the reason she could possibly leave Judith behind, other than the actor's amazing and we'd love to see Judith stay on the show? Jason says because she knows Judith can handle herself and she's with Negan. Now, Jason brings up another very good point. See, this is why we got to sort of talk through it. Judith doesn't want to go. That's another one. Judith refuses to go. Now you've got, if Judith is there with Negan, oh, holy hell, really? Are we at that point where Michonne is going to trust Negan to watch Judith Grimes? That's a far cry from where we were 2 years ago. The answer to that question is yes. That Negan and Judith have a relationship, and Michonne understands that. Sheila, we're not saying that Judith wouldn't want to see her dad. Don't twist it. We're not saying one or the other. At no time in this stream have we said Judith is going to stay, Judith is going to go. The same way we discuss whether Judith could stay, we can discuss reasons why Judith potentially could go. And then maybe make an educated decision based on why. Why would Judith not want to see her dad? I don't know if it's the point of not seeing her dad, but we can ask that question. I don't think there's a perfect way to write it. I don't think there's a perfect way the writers can come in and everybody's going to be 100% on board and say, oh, Judith should have left to go find Rick and be in the movies. But I don't think she's going to go find Rick for several reasons outside the show. I don't know that it's very congruent that they can write it that way, but I think they have to write it at least close enough so we believe it, that there's a believable story attached to it. I will say that for me personally, Judith was one of the top 5 characters on the show. Would you agree last season, you can agree or disagree, that Judith was one of the top 5 most popular characters on the show? She's great, right? So, kind of to Sheila's question, for benefit of a slightly more congruent story, if you believe in that, you want her in episode 4 to kind of pack up and hit the trail with Michonne? Or would you rather them find a way to write her into the story so it makes sense for her to stay behind? This is the question I have for all of you, the viewers. So it gives you a little bit more closure. When Michonne leaves, you want Judith to leave with her? Or would you rather writers find just a little bit of a roadmap and just like, yeah, let her stay back. We like her. She's one of the 5 most popular characters on the show. So that's kind of the point, is I don't know that we're all going to kind of get to a point where we agree with how she leaves and how she finds Rick and who's with her, who stays, who goes. You could say Siddiq would make sense. You could say Siddiq doesn't make sense. RJ goes. RJ's going to slow her down. Judith wants to see her dad. Judith needs to protect him. There's arguments to be made on any one of those. It really depends on, it depends on how we make it make sense, I guess. And I'm not here to change your mind on it because, quite frankly, I don't 100% have my mind made up on it. That I agree with too, Jason, wholeheartedly. Everyone thinks that Negan will watch Judith, but in essence, Judith is keeping an eye on Negan. There's certainly a child there that we saw because she got herself in trouble a couple of times. But there's also I don't think in the normal sense, Jason, of, okay, Judith's her prison guard. I think, and if I'm reading into what you're saying the right way, Mix, is Judith is kind of the emotional connection that keeps Negan grounded and keeps him from going out there and luciling people and losing his mind and doing a bunch of stupid stuff. Certainly she can wield a gun. Negan could certainly overpower her if he wanted to, but it's that bond where no one gets to Negan like Judith. There's certainly a nerve or a soft spot that he has to protect her and for her to emotionally protect him. Keep in mind, Negan wanted to kill himself when he was locked up. The only thing that kept him going was her conversation. And she said as much. She said he's not a monster. And on multiple occasions, Michonne brought up the fact, I don't want you near him, stop talking to her. And then I think the dynamic changed when Michonne, I felt there was a transition in Michonne's viewpoint of Negan and Michonne's understanding, and maybe not an understanding of the Negan-Judith relationship, but an acceptance of the relationship. There's a difference. She doesn't have to understand why this little girl and this guy get along, but she started to accept it when she asked, does Judith know about Glenn and Abraham? And he didn't lie. He was very straightforward that this is what I did and this is who I was. And to me, that's where I started to see the transition of Michonne. The light bulb goes off a little bit, right? Like, this is mini Rick Grimes here. Judith's going to do whatever she wants to do. She's like her daddy and her other daddy. She's that combination between the two. So, for selfish reasons, yes, I would love to see Judith stay behind. For story reasons, it probably makes slightly, not a lot, but slightly more sense for her to leave and help Michonne than to stay behind. But I'm okay making the storyline sacrifice as long as she could stay on the show. But leaving RJ in someone's hands, to me, is different. But it also depends on how they articulate Michonne's story. So, I have to think through this a little bit. I don't think it's going to be like when Michonne leaves that we're going to get a whole filler episode of Michonne leaving. I think once Michonne leaves, they could just leave that to the movie. They might not even tell the story of Michonne and RJ walking through the desert and getting stung by bees and running low on food and, day after day. They may not tell that story. We got a very fast story of Morgan walking to Texas. We might not get a story of how Dwight got to Texas. So they certainly could keep it fairly simple. I mean, they're not going to tell us every part of the story. But to be honest, RJ's a problem. To me, he's a problem either way. He's a problem if he stays, and he's a problem if he goes. They wouldn't kill RJ, would I'm just saying. Maybe he gets kidnapped, something. No. Would they? No, they won't. But I don't see a good story with RJ either way. Now, if you wanted to do a spinoff and you wanted to make Judith Clementine and you wanted to make RJ AJ, boom, I would love it. I would watch that. A little bit of time skip in there. Get RJ, 3 or 4 years older. Make that the 4th Walking Dead spinoff. Yeah, I almost need a time skip though for RJ to be relevant to me. He's just at that age where he's kind of a pain in the ass. Hang on, I can't kill all these walkers because I'm holding you, and I gotta, if you set up a zombie apocalypse daycare, I'm telling you, you would make the money. You'd roll in it. Jerry's, that didn't sound right. Jerry's little ones. If Rosita lives long enough to have a baby, Gracie, RJ, Herschel. You know what? If there can be a Starbucks in Game of Thrones, there can be a daycare in The Walking Dead. I know. I think as a metaphor, Walking Dead nerd, you could say RJ's the future. Rick said so. But I guess if you think the walkers are ultimately going to win and everybody's going to die, then the future would be kind of dark. So, yeah, we could kind of cut to the chase and cut out the middleman. No, I agree. I mean, I don't think RJ is going to be captured and tortured and anything's going to happen to RJ. That's the legacy of Rick Grimes. But, they might have to be Fear the Walking Dead coincidental with this particular story. I get it. He's safe and he lives, but where? Where's he safe and where does he live? Nobody really is safe, though, are they? Wilson says, what about Rosita? Surely time skip Rosita would have had her baby and look after RJ. It's not a big time skip. I think the time skip's only a couple of months. It's only to get through that severe winter weather that they get in the state of Virginia that doesn't happen in the state of Virginia. Christopher Sage denies a star. She needs to go solo. Her journey in the movie would run perfect alongside our discovery Rick. Michonne started out solo in Walking Dead. She leaves solo with a purpose. So, Chris, I'm not going to disagree with you. In fact, I don't have enough data to even come up with a 100% valid theory. The closest that I could even come up with is that Michonne leaves RJ with Maggie. And she wants to go find Rick by herself and come back and bring Rick back to their kid. That's the closest that I can come up with to a good story. Bring Maggie back. You trust Maggie. Maggie's been there for a long time. It's the least she could do after bailing. Now, hey, you've taken care of Herschel. Take care of RJ. I'm going to use your intel. I will go get him myself. Tom Bug Ferreira says, Fear fans are going to be so pissed when they find out that Madison ain't coming back. And they're going to complain and moan about it, and it's going to annoy the crap out of me. Tom, they're already... If every fear stream that we do, that question gets brought up. Well, we didn't see her die. There's still a chance. There's still hope. No, you didn't see her die because burning a woman on television while she's screaming out trying to protect her kids is probably not the best use of our time. We could imply that it happened. And the fact that her kids saw it and her kids had no choice and she made the ultimate sacrifice. Let her make the ultimate sacrifice. Be happy that she died in a very heroic way. Don't take that from her. Just kidding. Nope. So, I mean, I am definitely open to the possibility. We can discuss it a little bit more. But Christopher, I'm with you. Could I see Siddiq leaving with her? Yes. Could I see RJ for reasons? Certainly. But I think the best story, and let's see if you guys disagree. The best story for Michonne to try to find Rick is for Maggie to come back, give Rick some information, Michonne to go absolutely solo, and we don't see the path on television, but when we see the movie, we see Michonne trying to make her way to Rick and eventually finding Rick. That, to me, it's the best situation. When we start getting into the weeds and she's got to take Judith because she's got to take RJ, she's got to take both, then, it's just kind of like a big party. It's not going to be a party going to find Rick. Take care of RJ. I'll be back for him. And you know what? It would be really cool. I got it. See, now I have it. And then, after Michonne's gone for a certain amount of time, then Judith and RJ, a.k.a. AJ, become Clementine and AJ, and they go to look for their mother and father. Then you can put them in the movie. So you got 3 movies, and in the 4th movie will be Judith and RJ at the end of the season going to look for them too. You can do that in a couple years. Well, Tom, I guess the point is, and I wouldn't let it bother you. I wouldn't let it aggravate you because, people have a right to their theories just like we have a right to talk about theories. So I don't fault people for the slight possibility, like when Morales was alive and they kind of willed it into existence, or making a point like, okay, with Madison. But when you get to a point where you discount everything else that you saw, and that's the only thing that you're making the argument for, you got to be able to see sort of both sides. I get it. I understand why people said Madison could be alive, because you never saw her die. But that's the only reason, is because you never saw her die. So in order to hold on to that theory and to totally believe that theory, you have to get rid of all the other stuff. Like, no, but she was cornered. She was surrounded by walkers. She did blow up the stadium. Blew up the stadium, not just a little bit. They were charred. She did give her life for her kids. You've got all these things telling you she's dead, and then the only argument against her being dead is we didn't see it. Yeah, it's to me, that's weak. William the Walking Dead billboard. Maggie and Negan can't coexist in the same area. Maggie takes kids back with Georgie. Maggie don't stay long. William, that's another one. It's just the writing issue. Now, I agree that they can't coexist, because how do you raise baby Herschel and say, hey, yeah, that guy over there, yeah, that's the one that killed your dad? That's not going to be good. There's no way I think that can be worked out. But what do you do if you truly want to bring Maggie back and Negan is one of the stars of the show? It creates a tough situation. And I'm not even ready to go on that platform just yet either. William is also super chat and says, RJ and baby Herschel, not Judith. Yeah. Maybe Maggie goes to find them and then just all the kids. That'll be another spinoff. Tommy, that's a good question. They have some firepower. You assume over a few years they had to stockpile something, but not enough to light up all those walkers. Daryl says, kills with Fear the Walking Dead being 6-7 years behind The Walking Dead. Could the kid group we see in season 5 trailer be connected to Jocelyn? I don't think so. I think the kid group I think they're legit. I could be wrong. If they're creepy and evil, then it is borrowing a little bit of the Jocelyn storyline. And I don't see... I don't know. I said after Morgan, I'm like, there ain't going to be any more crossovers from Virginia to Texas, and then Dwight shows up. But there's only so many crossovers that you can do before I think the audience kind of loses it a little bit. Tom Bug Ferreira says, it's more that they keep complaining and shoving it down your throat and demanding she come back, not the theory itself. Yeah, I have certainly, Tom, had to deal with that. And a lot of you have been in streams that we've had some trolls and we've had some people that just wouldn't let certain things go. I agree with that part of your assessment, Tom. Make the argument, make it, when you get to a point of because, no, but why? No, because, and you don't have at least 5 or 6 valid reasons. Why do you think? Because I want them to. No, I think that's really the fun in funneling things down. It gets us all kind of on the same wavelength, and we're all on the same wavelength. We can sort of see each other's point of view. And with that, Bug and group, great conversation night. Would you guys believe that it's an hour? An hour has passed. Was that like a record for the fastest hour we've ever had in chat? Unbelievable. When we get together and start talking about The Walking Dead, it's magic. So I want to thank all of you for being here. Do me a big favor. If you guys had a good time, you like hanging out with us, give this video a thumbs up. There will be no stream tomorrow night, nothing on Thursday. We will be back with Freestyle Friday on Friday night. So if you guys have not been a part of Freestyle Friday, we start out with the Walking Dead topic, and Super Chatters will mix it up a little bit. And we got some kills coins. I am going to give a kills coin. If you can come up with a song that would most represent Michonne leaving the show, be creative. Give me a song that you would have play at the end, and I'm going to pick one. And Kells, we're going to add them. If you get a kills coin, you can use that for a free super chat on Friday night. So Michonne's going to leave, and she's going to look for Rick. What would be a theme song? Julia Muse says, Eric Carmen, all by myself. No, something else. It's not terrible. Hold on. R-E-S-P-E-C. No. Julia, I'm going to kind of put yours to the side right now. It's leading. It's the best I've got up to this point. Here I go again. Here I go again on my own. Oh, I like that. I got a tie. I got a tie between Taya and Julia. Midnight Train. No, she ain't going to Georgia. Kel. I will always love you, says Roxanne. Theme song to Lassie. Yes! Love it, Uncle Creepy. Love that. Oh, Ray Beard. Little Boys to Men. Wait. Yeah, End of the Road. Jason McSally, On the Road Again. Willie Nelson. See, you guys didn't think I knew, like, any country people. I know, like, 3 country groups. And Willie Nelson is one of those 3. Let's see. My Heart Will Go On. Follow the Yellow Brick Road. I would walk 500 miles. All right, you know what? I'm going to leave it up to you guys. We'll meet again. If you guys see something you like up there, then put up a kills coin. Let's pick somebody. Hair of the Dog, Steph? William, Will the Bill. To the ladies, flowers. To the dudes, fist bump. And to kills, a lot of stuff. Some balloons, some fireworks. Whole lot of things. Thank you so much, William. Appreciate that. All right, we got to pick a couple winners here. There it is. Roxanne Dunlap is the winner. I'm going with you two. Still haven't found what I'm looking for. I have climbed highest mountains. I've run through the fields only to... There you go. It's perfect. Still haven't found what I'm looking for. We have a winner. Roxanne Dunlap gets the kills coin. That just kind of... Yeah. That just kind of felt right, didn't it? And the lyrics kind of feel right. So, yes, you are the winner, which makes Cammie very happy since she's a big YouTube fan. Did I say YouTube? YouTube. You get it. You know what I'm talking about. All right, everybody. Thanks. Had a great night tonight. You guys are absolutely amazing. And I will see you all Friday night. Thanks again. Peace.